What's good? What's good? What's good? We back with another one. It's your boy B Neil, aka Emerald Thoughts, aka Fat Hoes and Hot Wings. We back in this thing. We got another reaction. My boy Rollo Tomassi, excuse me. One thing I like about this video, as far as it being a good conversation, the other thing I like about it is there was a woman in the room this whole time that he was having this conversation, and for me, the fact that he was able to hold his masculine frame, to continue speaking the truth thoroughly and not having to sugarcoat things or filter himself, very important. Because a lot of times we get around women or people that um, may possibly be offended by the conversation that we have, and we try to like make it digestible for everyone. And the thing about the truth is, it's never going to be fully digestible for everyone. So I like when we see people, whether when they're being challenged or whether like I said, someone that I believe what you're saying or someone may take offense to it, you're able to speak that truth very thoroughly and not really second guess yourself or filter yourself out. And him doing this was something that I noticed that was important to me and something that I try to do a little bit better because I try to be truthful, and no matter how much people call me an asshole or bold, I still feel moments where I'm filtering myself. I still feel moments where I'm sugarcoating things, and obviously it's gonna probably always be like that because you can't be perfect, but um, it's something that I still continue to strive and work on. I mean, like it's if you're thinking about Bible or you're thinking about being a teacher or you're thinking about being a good parent, um, how you deliver messages is very important. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's actually kind of interesting because this is actually an interesting ploy. I talked to Kez about this, which is I have another friend who I'm not gonna give his name, but I had this conversation with him, and you'll know who I'm referring to.
Mhm.
But I was like, hey, it's funny when you were not the attractive guy in school, you were not like, which is me. But I'm like, yeah, it's like it's funny, but then you start getting into a position where all of a sudden it's like as you get older it's like it doesn't make any sense in your head, like all of a sudden women want you, married women
Oh
want
yeah.
you, and you start to see it increase as your wealth increases and
Right
your
about 30
status.
years old.
But I went it's so crazy because you know you look at the people in high school that peaked in high school, which was a
Mhm.
lot of people,
Yeah.
and they got all the pussy and they were doing whatever they wanted.
Mhm.
And it's like I go the reason why you're kind of reckless or making mistakes or whatever is because you never had this opportunity to be at desirable. And it's not like you suddenly just got like better looking, but you did to them. Because like
Mhm.
it's not like your face just changed, but it's like
Mhm.
all of a sudden now you have something that can bring stability to
Yes,
women.
and it's also necessity on their part as well. When
They
women,
want you, and I was like, I know it's
Mhm.
hard for you to like handle all the new female attention because you never did
Oh
have
yeah.
it, and you didn't. So
And
you never thought about
you
it.
think your perseverance is finally, your ship has come in, you've finally hit pay dirt. I did the right thing. I stuck to my guns, and now she really finds me attractive. No, it's because she's 29 to 31 years old, and her necessities have changed from the time she was like 18 till she was about 28 years old. That's the period that in my second book, Preventive Medicine, I have a timeline in there of what men can expect from women at various phases of maturity for women. And right around 29 to 31 years old, which, by the way, is the prime demographic for first marriage in the United States. Men are about 29, women about 28, somewhere around there. And that's when women go, oh shit, the lights are coming on at the club, and I better find a guy to leave the party with. And they're hoping they're going to find a guy who at least has some prospect or is a good bet for them, because at that stage, they are becoming to realize or acknowledge that they can't compete in the sexual marketplace like they did when they were 23 years old. So when we talk about the wall in the manosphere, for example, like a lot of people say, well, there's lots of girls who are like 33 years old and they're hot and they're sexy. And I go, yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. The wall doesn't start here. The wall starts here for women. It's, can I compete with the 23-year-old version of me? Can I compete with the next crop of girls? Because as I said, from 15 all the way up to 90, that's the demographic that men find the most attractive. It's peak fertility. If there's a biological clock, it ain't at 31 years old. It's when you were 23 years old. That's when you can conceive easier. That's when you can carry a child to term easier. And I think on a biological evolutionary level, men understand that. So when a woman,
I'll stop here. So just to rehash my point in the beginning, he said some very harsh or could be conceived as harsh things. When you think about the woman in the room, I probably say it's probably older than 30. If she's not married, if she's not mentally right, it's easy for her to get offended. Clearly. My biggest thing that I noticed that he kind of didn't touch on, when women are done out of having their fun partying phase, which he says from 20 to 29, um, a lot of times they ready to hang it up, like he said. They ready to find someone at the end of the party before the lights go out. For a man, the lights just cutting off at 30. So a lot of times when women be like, well, why can't I find a man that's my age, or why can't I find a man that takes me serious, is because at the age you were partying and probably should have been looking for someone that to take you seriously, probably that's older, you was ignoring them, not taking them seriously, playing games, whatever. That's fine and dandy. But once you get 30, 35, people that's 30, 35 now as a man, he got options. Way more options than he probably had when he was 20 to 30, because as a man, you really can't do nothing but be sex and fun for a woman at that age, unless, I mean, you that's the average man. The average man don't start becoming a real man as far as like taking care of themselves at the earliest 25, really 30. So 30, 35, that's when you start to see men pick up their options all the way up until their 40s, 45 is when they start to hit their max wealth potential, most likely. So his options are steady opening up as he grows, while a woman's is dwindling. I think that has a big effect on the dating market in the whole, because it's like, when women are ready to get serious, men still are like, eh. And I think women don't understand men in the sense of they're judging men from when they was in their 20s and 30s. They're not judging men at a mature age of them making money, them having options, and being confident in themselves. Because even men that got options when they're young, you still could be insecure because you really don't have shit. To be honest, like anything that could really make you insecure, you're not gonna stand in masculine frame because there's really nothing to stand on. You don't have a foundation yet. So I think it caused a lot of confusion in the dating market right now, because it's different people, men and women peak at different ages. But when a man says he can do this or do that and have fun, and then a woman like, well, why can men do that? Well, why do men want us to settle down so fast? It's not necessarily that it's a men or a patriarchy thing. It's more to do with the biological clock, and for men, the economic system and how it usually takes a man 30, 40 years old. It's just how it is. A man usually, maybe men in the 1800s, when he was 20, he could build a house, he could build a roof over his head, he can go hunt, he can go crop. That's something you learn when you were younger, because you grew up on the farm since you was a fucking baby. You've been on the farm, so you naturally know how to be self-sufficient. So back then, a man maybe at 20 to 25 could have experience as far as being stability, but even mentally, a man's not fully wise until 30, 35, or really 33 if you want to get into like technical Bible, like that's mastery. But once you hit 33, you start to see higher levels of elevation in a mature man that's been actually growing. But yeah, so I think it's an interesting thing to keep tabs on, especially for women, and understanding men nature, and why successful men at 30, 35 not really looking to settle down. You got dudes when you're 20, 25 trying to settle down because they're like, man, I need to get me a woman that's gonna ride with me through this pain and this grind. So you're gonna see men settling down, whether it's due to lack of options or doing like he knows that he needs someone to stick to him because he needs that consistency, because he can't really play that game of options. He can't just really play that game. So once a girl shows attraction that she wants to stay down with him, you'll see men be more reasonable and likely to do that early on than sometimes later on. I don't know. That's just something I tend to notice, but let's move on.
It gets to be about 29, 30, 31 years old. It's like, oh shit, I better find a guy for the long term, because from 30 on to hope you live a long life, but till however long you're going to live, women are looking for long-term security after that point. So it's like they have a 10-year window between, say, 18 and 28 years old, where they can consolidate on a good bet on that good potential guy. When they get to 29 to 31,
that's when their options are the highest. That's because of finding someone that they take them serious, is that successful, is at its highest. Like, it's just what it is. And they be like, well, why men want younger women? Well, that's your prime. I'm sorry. Let's think about the baggage. Let's think about all the trauma women say they have. They pick up this trauma through relationships. They pick up this trauma through the years of dating and having bad experiences. So once a woman hits past like 30, they start going into relationships with bad faith, like in general. Obviously, not every woman. Women that take care of themselves, women that go to therapy, women that seek guidance, like true guidance and wisdom and truth. They're able to not carry baggage, and they're able for their heart to be light as a feather. But on average, most women are proud of the baggage and trauma that they have. It's like almost like a bragging story. Like I've been shit on, um, like when they talk about stories of what they've been through with men, it's like they almost get into a competition on like who been shitted on the worst, like who been fucked over the worst. It's like a pride or like it's almost like a fun thing to them. Like it's entertainment. It's like gossip and shit. Who has the most dirtiest or most like scandalous gossip? And that's no different when someone's talking about their personal lives and trying to compare who's been through worse in a sense. You start to see some women like to even be proud of the baggage that they carry. And it's funny. It's funny. I had a dear. I can go deeper in that, but it's funny how you get that. So you see it all on social media constantly. Women traumatized or think men ain't shit. That usually you can get that at 20, 25, but usually those women at 20 through 25, maybe older than 30, they're speaking, just regurgitating things. Women that's actually over 30 has that narrative, but they also went through certain things to help project that narrative or perpetrate that narrative even more. So that's something that you have to watch out for, and that's what most men start to watch out for. A good woman, let's be realistic, a good woman that's like wifey material. Like I'm talking about a good woman to a man, not a good woman in general. Like she can be a good mother, she can be a great woman at work, a great teacher, whatever. But I'm saying a good woman to a man, like you truly treat a man well, he's gonna do whatever. He will literally go to war to keep you. So if you're single at 30 and you're supposed to be this great woman, unless somebody died that you was married to or been in a long-term relationship, a man naturally is going to have concerns because men know how protective they are over things that they cherish. Like we will go to war for it. Literally, we can see it. Movies. What's the movie with Achilles or no? I think that's Troy. Yeah, with Achilles. If I'm not mistaken. One of my favorite mythological people, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if he's real. But yeah, the movie of Troy literally went to war over a woman. So when we see women that's single after 30, 35, and she really don't have a good reason for that, like she had a 5-year relationship, then she had another like 6-year relationship, and they just didn't work out, we're gonna wonder why they didn't work out. First of all, that's still a yellow flag. But if you don't have a good excuse for it, it becomes a red flag. If you have a good excuse for it, like, he stopped being in shape or he lost himself or the relationship really got traumatic or something like that, then we understand. But if you were just like, I got bored of the monotony, or I just wanted something different or some shit like that, like a man is gonna look at that like, bro, you had someone that like loved you and took care of you, and like you just woke up one day and left. Like niggas gonna have questions about that, because like it's our nature. Men know, like I said, how protective we are. We know how we feel about our women. Like, not gonna call him a child, but it's almost like how a woman is protective and care about his child. A man feels that way about his woman and his child. A woman don't necessarily have to feel that way about a man, because like obviously she don't have to protect the man, but a man's job is to protect and provide for his woman. So obviously she's not a child, but just how seriously a woman has to protect and provide for her child, that's how a man feels about his woman, especially one he cares about, and not just like a concubine. So when you see these women out here that's still single, 30, 35, and plus, red flags start to naturally occur. But it's all due to the timeline. Cause like I said, if you was in your prime and you wasn't able to keep a man, it says a lot about you and less about men. Unless you was just, whether it's just you looking in the wrong spot or you actually just actively choosing bad men, it's something wrong about you. Like, I'm sorry. Vice versa, you can't say the same about a man, because a man hasn't really matured till 30, 35, 40. So a lot of time when women talk about, men ain't shit, you really talking about boys. You was dating a boy that, well, you can call a man because of age, but when we actually talk about what being a man actually is, like, that's why people can laugh at you. You'll be like, I'm 19, I'm a man. People will laugh at you like, no, you're not. Because it's more than age about being a man. Same like being a leader. Like, I'm older than you, so I'm a leader. It's like, that's not how that works. It's just not how it works. Like, it's something that goes on that's like duty and actually showing actions that prove that. So a man being 35 or being young and you saying men ain't shit, most likely talking about boys ain't shit. Let's move on.
years old, that's the epiphany phase. And that's when women go, oh, well, I want to do things right now. And I want to get right with God. And I'm going to go back to church and I'm going to find the right guy and I'm going to make him do the right things. And I'm done with my crazy. You'll see this on Tinder profiles. I was so crazy in my college years. And I've had my fun. I'm done with the jerks and I'm ready for something serious. I've had my fun.
Kevin Samuels explained it best. Women let their whole phase go on too long, and they pay for it at 30, 34 to 40. They pay for it. Why? He said your whole phase should be 2, maybe 4 years. After college, you gotta start shaping up to be wifey material. Really, in college, you should be looking for a husband in college. If we talking about dating your age, or looking for someone that's successful when you're ready to get out of college, but you should be looking for marriage. You should be looking to turn into a wife after those few years of hoeing. Like, why are you still have, like, let's be real. Everybody had that party phase. That shit die out. It gets old pretty fast if we really being real. Standing in line, seeing fights, getting shoes stepped on, people bumming for rides, all the shit like gets come on, mamas. I'm in the middle of a video playing shit, fighters. So yeah, that gets pretty old fast. Are you still living that life at 4 to 10 years? We have to question, what about you is not seeking something different? Because it just naturally, people that I know, men or women, like naturally, you start to progress out of different phases every 2-3 years. Like, you're still in the club phase, you're still in the partying phase, you're still in the going out every night phase. You haven't found anything different. Hey, yet you're getting worse. Let's be real. Most of the time you get worse the older you get. You start drinking more. You start drinking heavier. You start going out more. Because, like, all the reason that you used to go out only getting more validated. You don't have a man, that's even more prevalent. You're bored, you're lonely, that's even more prevalent. You're depressed, you're sad, that's probably even more prevalent the older you get, especially if you're not working on yourself. So it's a weird thing, but for some reason the women live out their whole face for too long, then expect people to just accept them and want to be with them after that. But the problem with that is, after going through that phase so long, the baggage, the trauma, the not learning how to be a wife that you didn't do, all affects if a man really want to take you serious in the long term. So it's not really that men are judging you, or men can't love a hoe. There's plenty of men that loves a hoe, but like, we talking about long term, like, what can you really provide to a man besides just sex? Because you don't even know men at this point. You so in your world and things like that, bro. You behind. You're behind. While other people have been adapting and changing after college, you were staying the same. You still partying like you're 18. But you got the baggage of a 35, 40-year-old. I just will date an 18 or 20-year-old. And that's how most men think. So a lot of things and these double standards and patriarchies and shit like that, it's a lot of baloney, and people just not really choosing to divest and or dissect the things that they've really been going through, and that's the biggest problem. Let's move on.
No fun for you. But I'm looking for a guy for the long haul, right at the same time that guy is just about going into his peak years. And essentially what they're saying is, wait for me until you're 30. And then when I get to be 30 and I've gone through my journey of self-discovery and we're both 30, then we'll get married. It's like that skit from Friends when Ross and Rachel say, if we're both single at 30, let's promise to get married when we're 30 years old. That's literally what we're doing right now.
And you gotta see the man taking a bad bargain. You got the experience, you got to live, you got to go feel whatever, what you call that? You got to go be the diva, you got to do all that energy, right? But a man truly don't get his bachelor pad till 30 plus. So now that you ready to settle down, it's my time to go live it up. So it's a clear seesaw, or it's a clear line where you see where people start to, like, where men feel like they lose out on a bet. I didn't get you in your best years. Now you old, you're tired, you're uninspired. And this is just our first, second year in the marriage. But the reason you're already like that is because you already been through several relationships where you've been traumatized. Well, if we get into an argument or a conversation, it's reflected on how you had bad communication skills in the past and nobody point got across. Now you still acting like that. Now you getting emotional because like past scars that you ain't worked out. And it's something that's a 10-year later conversation that we having about something that we personally going through. But you went through that before, and then you seen how shit didn't work out, whatever. So it's no different. Like men feel like they get cheated because, like I said, you get tired and all this whatever shit. Now I'm 30, 35. I'm my fresh prince now, technically. Like some dudes get to live that out earlier, but let's be real, you really don't get to live that out till 30 plus because you don't have your own shit at 25 like that. At least it's not something that's abundant. Like, but when you 35 plus, like you get to really be that fresh prince age, rounding into a king. Cause let's be real, you really don't. Let's think about presidents. How old you got to be till you become a president? 44. Let's think about a king. What probably the average age of a new king is probably somewhere in the 40s, 50s. Like you're just becoming a prince at 30. Like before that, you was a noble or some shit like that. You're a fresh prince at 30 and you start to become a king at 40, 50. That's when you're truly your wise self. Being a king ain't for young men. Sorry. So, and young as being considered a king and running nations would be considered 40s, 50s. So it's a lot of things that I think people just don't understand about this world, about men, about just natures in general, biology and all these things take effect. All these things play a part of it.
And that's another reason why we were talking about like the fertility rates and we're talking about the decline in marriage rates is men are waking up to this. They're seeing this sort of play out in their own lives, or they're seeing it online, and they're either opting out of it or they're maximizing that once they get to that peak potential.
It's interesting. I was thinking about that too, because you know that one woman that's the be a ho no mo, the one woman be a ho no mo. I love that woman, but I think it is interesting. You said at the peak at 23 is like that's probably also too why they all get hoes in college, because it's like all the guys.
They call it the hoe phase. I was trying to be polite about it in my second.
A woman
book.
that's 23 getting men her age. She getting men that's 35 plus. Like a woman in that age, she feels like she has the world at her hand because when it comes to relationships, she does. And that's true. But a lot of women don't capitalize on that. Okay, you're 23, you got 2 years to explore your options. But after a while, you need to start becoming firm in those options. Whether it's, I'm not advocating for this, whether it's cutting it down from you having horses in the stable to maybe three dudes that you're trying to fill out. But you can't keep playing that game. You can't keep, especially with men that has some type of self like worth. Like you can't keep playing that game because he becomes wiser to those games as well. So those games are fun when you're young and dudes are novice and things are new. But as things start to get as men get older or as relationships grow, we start to learn things and pick up habits and traits. And if you're still fucking around and not taking things seriously, and I'm trying to be serious and I have all the means for you to be serious, it's like, all right, bro, unless I'm a simp, I'm moving on.
Because I didn't want to step on any toes.
Last point, but the problem why women don't understand or don't really care if men move on, because at 20, 25, you're so disposable. And when they're 23, 25, you're so disposable. 20, 21, you're so disposable as a man. It's 10 niggas in her Instagram. It's 5 niggas on her Twitter DM. It's 10 niggas in her Twitter DMs. And then she's still getting approached in real life all the time at that age. It starts to get less and less in the 30s, but she don't value men because she like, bro, all these men kissing my ass. So when she starts to deal with men that want to take her serious and got goals and want to make her a wifey material. Some man that has like truly wants to make her wife and she like whatever. Like he sees wifey material, whether she is or not. He's gonna start to look for certain things for you to do and how you're moving, and you still moving carelessly. Like no, a man is gonna naturally stop fucking with you. But like I said, a woman don't respect that or don't even think that's possible because she's ran into so many yes men already. She's ran into so many simps already. So when a man that stands on his backbone, she most likely think you're an asshole. Whether she's attracted to you or not, she don't understand that you're being an actual man and not kissing her ass. So she most likely is to she most likely let you fall by the wayside because she don't even understand what she's dealing with yet. Because she's so used to thinking men operate as kiss asses, and that's all men really can be. But like I said, those are really boys, but we mislabel them as.
And then later on, about like 4 or 5 years after that, it was a trending hashtag: "Have a good hoe phase" or a hoe years, which is 18 to 28. And I thought it was funny because I referenced this when I was doing this sort of breakdown video of Tommy Lahren not too long. I think it was in 2020. It was about a year ago, and she was just losing her shit on some, like, she was just doing a cell phone video, and she put it up and it went viral, and I did a breakdown video of that. She's 28 years old, and she's like, "Where are all the good guys? Where are the guys?
Yeah.
Where's my husband? Where's the guys that are supposed to be here? That you guys have some things to do, mister. You better, man up. You better be the right guy for me." And of course, she's 29 right now and getting married.
But yeah, that was a good video, man. I already pretty much took all the meat off that bone. I'm not gonna say anything else. We'll topic come back up. We'll dive into. Excuse me. We'll dive into it some more. But until then, it should be your boy B Neil, aka Emerald Thoughts, aka Fat Hoes and Hot Wings. Y'all go check out the podcast on Absolutely Unsure. That's about it, bro. Like, subscribe. Get out my face. Peace.